Today we're doing a side-by-side comparison of the three top-selling in-pool loungers. We have Ledge Lounger's signature Shayz, Tenjam's Shayz In-Pool Lounger, and Floating Luxuries Kai Shelf Lounger. So let's go one by one and show you how to put water in these loungers so we can properly test them in this 8.5-inch pool shelf. Let's start with Ledge Lounger. So on the bottom of Ledge Lounger products, well, first of all, let's get it into the pool. We don't want to scratch. We want to try to avoid scratching the products. But you can see before we put water in these, they just float. So it's important to get water into the products. Ledge Lounger has a screw plug system. And as I try to just hold it steady, the method here is without scratching it, I have to take this screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, and then remove the screw plugs. It helps to have shorts with pockets, and of course I forgot shorts with pockets today, so I can put all this stuff where I need it, because in a while I'm going to fill it, and then I have to be able to reach this at the point where I'm going to do it. So I'm just going to set these over here on the edge, set my screwdriver back down, and now the trick is just to start holding it underwater. So I've got that front opening, that spin welded screw plug, under the water, and just kind of wait it out. So if I put both holes under the water, which I'll have to do in a little bit, the first step though is just to get that one hole out under so the water can go in there, and then the air can start getting pushed out of the lounger through that hole there. So I think we're in a good spot. Now I keep it submerged. And now I got to get my screw plugs back into it. Oh, still a little air kicking out. There's still air kicking out. I don't want that front plug coming up above the water. So I get these in as best as I can with my hand, my fingers. There's no grip on them, it's just a thread. I'm going to do this one, and then I'll tighten them all back down. And just get that in there without getting it above the water. Okay, now get my screwdriver, tighten it down, tighten it down. Now that water is trapped inside. Now with Ledge Lounger, they don't want you filling it with a hose, because hose water isn't chlorinated. It can definitely grow algae fast. So it's important to fill it with pool water. Now it's full. So the only real weight I'm feeling is the water up in here and the water that's up in here. The water below that's stuck in the chair right now below the water line is actually like neutrally buoyant. Water's buoyant with water, or neutrally buoyant with water. So now just drag this to where I want on the shelf. And there we go. So that is the Ledge Lounger signature Shayz filled, and I can tell I didn't get all the air out of it because I can still push the front end down. It's probably 1.5 inches off the ledge. So the process really is now I got to go back, undo those plugs, and try to shake that last bit of air out of there. I've got air stuck in these portions here, which is making this lounger not make contact with the ground. So I'll go through, redo that. I'm breathing a little heavy right now, talking and kind of manhandling this thing. But this is basically how the Ledge Lounger signature Shayz filled with water looks in 8.5 inches. We'll go to the next one. Next, we're going to fill the Tenjam Shayz In-Pool Lounger. Now with Tenjam's Lounger, they make a variety of risers to accommodate different water heights. And I'm just going to grab a couple out of the pool right now so you can just see what those look like. For this 9-inch or 8.5 inches of water depth, we snapped the 4-inch riser into the bottom of this lounger. Tenjam also makes an 8-inch riser and a 12-inch riser, which allows Shayz to work all the way up to 17 inches of water depth. But for right now, again, we put the 4-inch riser on the bottom of the Shayz Lounger. So now let's just pull the Shayz into the pool. That way these armrests kind of do help manipulate it. With Shayz has an open bottom. There's multiple holes in the bottom of Shayz, and you can see I got a handle so I can kind of manipulate this. But on the bottom there's holes. There's holes in the top of the risers, throughout the bottom of the chair. And what happens is I can just simply hold this down in the water while standing on the shelf. I can hear the water flowing in, and if I get it to where that valve is just under the water, I can just wait until this thing fills up with water, and I'll know it's filled up to the position of the valve once that air stops coming out of the lounger. So if we just wait it out. Now again, we got the nose down, and that's what we want, because we want all that air to come up from that front end of the chair, not get stuck in the hump of the legs where the legs are supported, and fully fill this and get rid of that air. So here we are. Now it's full, because I see the air it's pretty much stopped coming out of there. I can just tighten down this vacuum valve, and now I pull Shayz onto the shelf. So we're full of water. The front end's making solid contact. I can't push it down, it's solid. And you saw the vacuum valve on this other side. Let me just grab this pump, little miniature bilge pump. It has an adapter on the end of it. So if you feel like the air isn't fully out of the lounger, once you're in this position, you can simply just push this adapter into the tip of that valve, pump, and once water starts coming out of the ejector, it's fully full of water again. All right, so next we're going to fill up the Floating Luxuries Kai shelf lounger. But first I need to turn this around so you can just see. I need to use a tool like I had to with Ledge Lounger, but with Ledge Lounger it was a screwdriver. With this, it's a pliers. We have screw plugs on the top here. Oh, I can get this one off with my fingers. So I'm going to do that, because if I have to use a pliers, you can definitely bend up the plastic. So you got to remove the top screw plug, and then you got to remove the bottom screw plug. Oh, that one actually didn't tighten too hard, so I can remove that one with my fingers. We got lucky. No pliers needed today. But you can see on the edge of this how this has been chewed up by using it. This particular lounger has been used in a pool for about a month. So take the screw plugs out, leave them there, flip it around. Again, do your best not to bang these around, because they can get scratched up. Now I'm going to set this in the water. Now with the Kai lounger, the instructions say I could just leave the bottom screw plug in and then just tap a hose into this top hole. But what that would do is just fill it up with hose water that doesn't have any chlorine in it, and it would grow algae easier. So in this case, I'm just going to kind of let this lounger get some pool water in that bottom hole so it fills up, just to give them the benefit of the doubt here. And once it's pretty full, I'm going to grab just the bottom plug. Now the trick is to get this bottom plug in tight enough while it's in the pool with your fingers that hopefully you don't have to use. I'll still use the pliers just to make sure it's good and tight, because we don't want the water, in this case, coming out of it. Got to find that thread. Okay. So that is finger tight. I feel like I have it pretty tight where I don't need to get the pliers underwater to give it that big mega turn. But now you can see I'm floating. So what I need to do is take this hose water and aim it for the hole. And now, as I do that, I'm just going to hold this here and let this thing fill. By the way, this lounger does have two holes, two tiny little vent holes. One of them's on each side of the top of the leg rest. And what that's doing is, as we're filling it with water, the air has to go somewhere. So those little vent holes are allowing that air to come out as we fill it with water. So let's just kind of wait this out for a while. I wish we had a fire hose. We'd be through this video a lot faster. Instead, I'll just kind of sit here sweating it out and wish I had a cold beverage while I was doing it. So we'll wait and wait. Again, as we do this, eventually I think I'll have to pick it up and lift it so I'm getting that water over that hump, but we'll just see how it happens. La-di-da. You know, when we know it's going to be full is when the water actually starts coming out of those vent holes. So this isn't going to be a mystery. In fact, I think I got the hose positioned to where I can probably go inside and have a sandwich or something while this is doing its thing, but I'll wait it out because we're trying to do a apples to apples here. Can definitely feel more weight getting into this. Well, while this is doing its thing, let's just kind of talk about the three again. So Ledge Lounger has the plugs. We take the plugs out, fill it, put the plugs back. I still have an issue where there's some air inside, and I'd have to go through that process again to figure it out. Now, right now it doesn't bother me, but the correct thing to do would be to do that process again and try to get the air out of it. Tenjam Shayz was super easy. That went quick, no sweat, literally. Piece of cake. Another thing about the Tenjam product is it has all these open holes on the bottom. So that water stays locked inside until we actually lift the front of the lounger out of the pool. When we do that, it's going to break the seal, and you're going to see that in the next video when we go ahead and try to empty the products and show you how that goes. But because it has open holes, this chlorinated pool water can constantly recirculate in and out of the core of the chair. So we're not just trapping water inside that may be locked inside for months at a time. With this product here, it's still doing its thing. Oh, it's definitely getting much more full. In fact, when full, this thing lists as filling with like 240 pounds of water or something like that. It's quite heavy. But all of them will resist movement when filled properly. Okay, I feel like the front end is solid. I feel like this thing is definitely getting more solid. You'll feel it get more solid once that water, well, the water's below the water line, it's gonna feel like it floats. We need that water to come up in here, so you get, the more water you get inside above the water line, the more it's gonna act as weight to hold it down to the bottom of the pool. So I see the water line in the back of the chair right now. You can kind of see through this white color, and I can see the water line is just a couple inches above where my finger is, and I now see it's coming out of the vent hole. So this is full. I can pull the hose. Once I pull the hose, just take that plug again, and on the top, feel confident you can just put it in with your fingers. Although, if you really want a nice flush finish, because it is a screw plug at the top of the chair, which I seem to be having troubles with. I think I'm cross-threading it. You do want to get that in there. I'll do it by hand, but you can see I've probably got another ½ an inch where I could probably potentially screw that down so the look is just a little more clean. So that's filling this product. All right, so we just got done filling the top 3 selling in-pool loungers: the Ledge Lounger, Signature Shayz, Tenjam's Shayz In-Pool Lounger, and the Floating Luxuries Kai Shelf Lounger. Now, you'll see in the video, we filled them all. By far, the hardest one to fill was Ledge Lounger. I had to take the plugs out, manipulate it in the water, manhandle a little bit, and after all that, putting the plugs back, I can still see the front end of this lounger is not in contact with the pool. It's just kind of bobbing in the water, and this is a true 8.5 inch fill pool. The Shayz by Tenjam, this thing was just lights out easy. Had a handle to fill, I positioned it in the water just perfect where all the air could just float to the top, all the water could enter it, just piece of cake, and it went fast. The Kai, it was easy, and we followed the instructions, we filled it with hose water, so I'm just doubting if hose water over time is going to get a lot of algae buildup. But overall, it was pretty easy to fill, and I could just leave the hose running, and so I would call that easy.